Hello everyone and welcome to episode 71 of GuildGab. This is a show all about Guild Wars 2. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am here with MMOINKS and the RPG Shack, and today we will be discussing a post on the forum from Gail Gray saying that SAB is returning 100%, but we just don't know when. And we're going to be talking about the preview that we got of SLOTHOSAB, the new raid boss, which is coming next month. Perhaps, yes, hopefully. That's what we were
Hopefully.
told. And talking about a couple new items in the gem store. So, we are down to Corvus today, unfortunately. So, much love. Someday we will be back to 4.
The legend of Corvus continues.
It really does.
They split. They split again. And
There's always something.
or
always
one of them absorbed the other one. I'm not sure how it works anymore.
Yeah.
Actually, real quick, you guys are going to be at Festival. You guys are going to get together again.
Yeah, we are, and we're sharing a hotel room.
Yes.
The adventure continues.
A room. There's more than one bed in the room, or so Ed has told me. So
I'm gonna send you my GoPro, and you have to just record everything that happens.
Yeah. It's I'm like a foot taller than him, so I get to be the big spoon. So yeah.
Too great.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah. So yeah, we're gonna be. It's just so strange. Like going to Festival, it's like appearing at Festival. No, I'm just like a weirdo from the internet. He's just.
We're all weirdos from the internet.
I know. It's very strange that someone has put value in the things that come out of my mouth, which is really.
It'll be fun though. It'll be a lot.
It will. It'll be
jealous.
great fun. And there's going to be some great Guild Wars swag. To be winning giveaways. The guy who organised it, he was down at the ESL finals in Leicester last weekend, which I may have slept through. Yeah, I know. I woke up at like midday.
Wow.
Oops.
I woke up after it had started. And I was supposed to go meet Nerdkit and everybody, and then the traffic was. And anyway. But he managed to get I think it's a T-shirt and a couple of other bits and pieces that are signed by the teams that
Nice.
that played down at ESL. So you can go if you click on the link in the old thing, and there'll be one in the description as well. Find this on YouTube, please.
Absolutely. So
Awesome.
That's on May 7th, and I've put the link in chat, festival.co.uk.
Yeah, that's the one.
And you can go there and find out all the information about guests. Jebro's going to be there too. And just, all the information. I don't think they have a venue yet, but they have the date, May 7th, so go there.
Oh, no,
more info.
there is a venue now.
Oh, there is.
Yeah, it's this really cool, funky kind of video game pub in London.
That's right. I did
It's,
see that. It looked really cool.
I've forgotten the name of it. It is called the...
Like a cyber cafe type thing.
Yeah, it's called Loading Bar, and it's on the secret level in Stratford, which is kind of East London. So yeah, it's like a bar that's all kind of video gamey and cool and nerdy. So if you guys are around, you should come down and have an absolutely great time.
I'm jealous.
Me too.
They're trying to get one going here in the U.S., but there wasn't not enough people behind the scenes that could organize it in time for this year. So hopefully next year, because that would be amazing.
Yeah. Well, you guys went to PAX and you got to hang out with the people.
Jebro's everywhere. See, you're gonna meet him there. I met him at PAX last year. He's everywhere.
I met Jebro last year. He's awesome.
It seems like, and I'm a little sad about this because I went last year, and last year was great. Don't get me wrong, but it seems like PAX East is gonna be like the happening thing so far this year. Like,
Really?
it's just so many people I know are going to be at PAX East this year. I'm a little sad that I won't be going, but yeah, like Aurora's going to be there, Bog is going to be there, Age is going to be there, a whole bunch of other people who are skipping my mind right now. But
I'm excited. I've never been there.
I mean, haven't even heard anything whether Guild Wars 2 or not is even going to be there. But just all these people, that I communicate with or talk with on a regular basis are totally going to be at PAX East this year, just for out of the blue.
just hanging around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm excited. It's going to come up quicker than I think. All right. Well, let's get into some actual game discussion. I guess first of all, the forum post from Gale about Super Adventure Box. I know a lot of people were kind of freaking out about this. And basically, there's the whole thread saying SAB's never going to come back. What do I do with my continue coin? You know, all this stuff. And Gail said basically that she heard directly from Colin that it's 100% coming back. There's no date. There's no telling when. But she said it is in development and it is coming back 100% someday.
Awesome.
So if you take her for her word, then it's good news.
Although, bear in mind, Gale is the kind of person that plays Ranger and uses 2 bows. So,
hey,
you know,
hey, my Ranger uses 2 bows. Shut up.
What?
Gale.
You don't have to fight me. I quit. No, I mean the thing is, I think that as far as I understand it, we've probably talked about this before, but the reason that it's not come back as of yet is they have some kind of work to do on the engine that runs Super Adventure Box, because they've had to do all kinds of weird upgrades in the background since they started bringing like Dry Top the Silver Wastes and obviously Heart of Thorns, because something's changed in the background. I think it's to do with like how gravity works or something. I think it's something around those lines that they've tried to do it with SAB and it's kind of broken at the moment. It's why there's another event that kind of turned up once and has never come back because the updates to the engine have completely broken it as well. But I think the most important thing is that when it comes back and it's good, and it comes back and it's right. It's, you know, it's
you don't want it to be buggy and glitchy because the engine doesn't match the old version with the new version.
And like World 2 is hard enough as it is. You know, the absolute last thing that we need, I'll scooch over this way a bit. The absolute last thing that we need is you know, like the physics going wonky.
Yeah. See, I think we're already getting feedback in chat. People saying that, well, we knew it was going to come back. They said it was going to come back. And I think that was so long ago, and it's been so long since we've had it, that people kind of didn't believe them anymore. And I think that the post was kind of, you know, trying to, I don't know, be reassuring, that just maybe another reminder that, yes, we said it's coming back. Because honestly, that was my reaction. People were like, oh my God, they said SAB's coming back. I was like, yeah, they've told us that, you know? And so...
Well, it's kind of interesting, right? And I've definitely had this discussion with a few people on Twitter about... I was one of those people, definitely, when I heard this or read this, that I was excited. And, you know, I got quite a few comments where they're like, I don't get your excitement, or I'm rather pessimistic about it, because this is not new news. We know it's coming back. They've said 1,000,000 times it's coming back. So this is meaningless. This means nothing. We still don't have a date. We don't have any details, etc. The reason that I put a little more stock into it this time, and it very well could be that I'm totally wrong and maybe I'll regret it down the line, but this was kind of out of the blue. Nobody was talking about SAB. We're not in April yet, and I imagine if we were in April, there would be a lot more commotion of SAB or Riot, because of April's 1st is very meaningful within Guild Wars 2 itself. But SAB has not really been on the tip of anyone's tongue as of recent. So for Gale to come out of the blue and write a post, it feels like it's more than just a reminder to me. Maybe I'm reading
coming.
way too much into it.
It's coming
but
soon.
I feel like that I feel like they're actively working on it now. Whereas before, I feel like it was, it's going to come back someday, but they're not really working on it at that point. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I feel like somebody, Josh Foreman or whoever, or group of whoever's, like, finally either got the okay or the go-ahead or got the time to actually, like, okay, now we're going to work on SAB, and we're actually focused on it, and we're spending actual work hours working on this rather than, like, yeah, we're gonna fix that because it's broken eventually. And I think that's where her post comes from. That Colin's like, hey, great news, Josh is working on SAB again, 100% confirmed, right? And of course, like ArenaNet is very big about, they don't want to promise a date until it's like set in stone, done, tested.
Oh no, it's the
whatever.
worst thing they could do, and then not deliver.
They go, oh,
Right.
it'll be back here now.
So maybe I give too much credit. Maybe I put too credence into those words. But to me, because it was out of the blue, I think this is just a nod in the direction that people, developers, are actually investing real work time and progress into SAB again. Finally,
and I think that now that we're in that kind of I mean, we've been in that kind of post-launch lull for a little bit, and obviously, PvP Season 2 is in full swing at the moment. But with us wanting to do some more PvE stuff, I think that now they're going to start looking at Season 3 and start looking at what other temporary content that they're going to be bringing in, which is also kind of interesting because they did say that they're not going to be pacing themselves every 2 weeks like they did in 2013 and 2014. So I think that's a really good move. So when SAB comes back, it does potentially means that SAB will be coming back for a longer period of time than that it initially did. Hang on, I'm just going to pull the door too.
There's two big questions. Do you think it could actually come back as soon as April 1st, which is in a month? And also, do you think that we are going to get a new level with it? Do you think it's do you think if it comes back without a new level, people will riot? Do you think they'll be happy enough just to have it back?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, people won't care that there isn't a World 3. They'll just be happy to have it back. I mean, obviously, there will be some degree of naysaying and just going, oh, why didn't ArenaNet do this 2 years ago or whatever? But, yeah, like, the thing is that there is, there's tribulation mode, there's easy mode, and there's normal mode. So you've got 3 different ways to play the content. But yeah, I mean, I guess it would be pretty cool to see what they've been cooking up for the Third World, but I think the vast majority of people will be happy that, that it's back. And it could even be kind of interesting that you might be able to, if they incorporate it into the Living World Season 3 somehow, that Timey's been doing some work on it or something like that.
She's been working with
that she's been working with Moto on the Super Adventure Box, celebrating that Mordramoth's dead. So everyone's having a little bit of fun, and because they lost so many people during the failed attack on Mordramoth, they've now got to use the Super Adventure Box to train up young progeny, because that was kind of the lore reason that the Super Adventure Box existed, and there's even the second update to it was called Back to School, and yes, we've got to train the progeny. I think it'd be kind of interesting.
I think that we could see it as soon as April. And I really hope that there's a new level. I think most people wouldn't care one way or another. They just want SAB to come back at this point. They just want to replay it and re-experience it. I don't know that ArenaNet would ever make it a permanent thing, although that would be really nice if they did. But if it came back and it came with a third level with rewards maybe you haven't seen before, that would be a huge feather in ArenaNet's cap, something that I think they really need right now as well. So the possible return in April of SAB, followed by Living World Season 3 at some point shortly after, could be a steady flow of content for them for a while, which is something Guild Wars 2 players, I think, are really anxious for.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was my other question. Do you think that when it comes back that they would actually make it permanent content, or do you think they'll always keep it as temporary?
I think it'll be permanent eventually. Like once all 4 worlds are out.
Maybe.
Like the thing is it's too good to not have as permanent content, and there was an infinite continue coin on the gem store which people like me bought with gems. So I would be kind of annoyed that, if when all was said and done, that it didn't end up being permanent content, for those reasons. But the fact of the matter is that people love Super Adventure Box, and in the past, ArenaNet has made some decisions based on what the player base want, and people want Super Adventure Box, and eventually they'd be, when push comes to shove, they'd be daft to say, "Oh, you got this permanent content. See you later." That was it. I mean,
I really think it could be permanent content. They would need to change the rewards a tiny bit. They would need to add a few things so that when you cap out on the weapons and stuff that you get in Super Adventure Box, that there's some other kind of reward you can choose or get for completing the worlds, the acts, etc., so that it continues to feel rewarding past just getting the skins. Like dungeons, like fractals, raids, etc. You need to have something extra in there that continues to reward you for playing that content, over and over again. That's a very minor, easy thing to really kind of add to that sort of thing, but certainly it could be, and I really hope.
How cool would that look? Kind of like 8-bit breastplate or something.
Maybe.
I think it would be great for. I think if they keep it in as permanent content, people will just get tired of it. They don't know how fast they'll get tired of it, and then just be, "Oh, there's nothing to do," even though, "Oh, there's SAB. Well, I'm done with SAB," If they always bring it back, like the first time we had it, it came back twice in 1 year. It was April Fool's, and then it came back for back to school later that year. If they bring it back, basically every time there's a lull in content,
that's blatant pandering, though, isn't it? It's just kind
of
like,
it's
we've
something...
got nothing to do. SAB, quick!
It would give someone, it would give, people who love it, it would give them an opportunity to jump into that. I mean, I'm looking forward to the new Raid Wing next month. They did say it was coming before the end of March, so it has to be next month. So that's our March thing to do. February was PvP leagues. And so if there's a month where they don't have anything, then why not throw in SAB for a month? So I think if they can get it to a point where they can bring it back consistently and they don't have this problem with, the mechanics are, we have to update the base mechanics of how it works. And it's content that they can basically just switch on whenever there's a lull. I don't see any problem with that. I know someone will find something to complain about, but
SAB seasons. No, I mean, I think it's really.
There you go.
I think it is smart to have it come and go. It's just that ArenaNet needs to be way more consistent with that. And I realize, don't get me wrong, I understand we got like two, not back to back, but we got two in short, succession of each other, and then we haven't seen it for like 2 years almost, right? Hasn't quite been that long. I'm exaggerating a bit, but it's been a long time.
It's been more than 2 years. The last Super Adventure Box was September 2013. So 2.5 years.
So even more than 2 years. So it's been, God, it doesn't even feel like that long, but it does feel like a long time, regardless. And so if it does come back in April, and I certainly hope it does, they need to be more consistent of bringing it back every 6 months, or at least once a year. Something like there has to be like, this is Winter's Day season, Halloween. This is SAB season. Like they have to be more consistent to bring it back.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that hopefully that ArenaNet are going to be addressing. Like I said a bit earlier, that they've now slowed down their release schedule for temporary content. It's not going to be every 2 weeks, bang, 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 because they've realized that they can't keep that up. Even though because that was how season 2 was originally supposed to come to us in 2-week increments, and they had the break in the middle, and then it fell behind towards the end as well. But it's a good move to say, we're gonna slow it down, we're gonna pace it out, and I completely forgot my point, but
for their development, it's a good thing. You gotta keep the player base engaged, though.
Well, yeah,
especially with all the competition.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was it. By setting themselves a timeline that they can actually keep to, they can maintain that consistency. And I think Inks, you're 100% right there. It's like there needs to be that consistency to the schedule of releases, because that is what is really kicking the game at the moment. It's that you have and then nothing.
Yeah.
And you've got your PvP seasons, but people, there are a lot of people who don't do PvP, and as great as raids are, there are a lot of people who don't raid as well, and
right. So
and I mean that's okay as long as you're constantly cycling something. You have PvP season,
right?
You have a new raid wing, you have SAB, you have living store. Like there always has to be something continuing along the train, right? Every World vs. World, whenever that sees a revamp and those seasons return, like there is content and there is a schedule there, along with the other holidays that ArenaNet can keep to. Like every couple of months or almost every other month, they can have something like this that comes back consistently while adding new content. It's important to kind of get some of that groundwork laid and automated almost. They need to add new stuff to Winter's Day and Halloween and all of these things, right? There always needs to be something new to keep the player coming back. But, that's what keeps an MMO kind of consistent. If you look at World of Warcraft, Rift was very good at it. Many other MMOs, they all have different holidays and sort of these automated things that happen every month, year-round, whatever the case is, right? And SAB, along with seasons and the holidays, are definitely these kinds of events that are renewable every year. Yeah. But you have to be consistent with it. You can't let it break for 2+ years and just not have the time or resources for it, right? Especially when, and I do believe there's a little bit of overhype, over nostalgic hype for SAB. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoy it, but I think there's a little bit of over nostalgic hype because we've been starved for 2+ years of SAB. But
do you think that SAB, if they made some kind of structural changes to how each kind of level functioned, it could eventually find its way into the activity section? Because we've got Crab Toss there, and we've got Sanctum Sprint in there, and
I think it's too big for that.
Yeah, it doesn't quite fit, but I think I'd quite like to see something along those lines for SAB. If it did turn into permanent content.
What I would like to see happen, I think SAB is its own separate entity. They're kind of like mini dungeon adventure kind of things. They're not real activities. What I would love to see happen with activities, the regular activities they have is fine, but I would like to see the new adventures added into those activity rotations.
Ooh, yeah.
And so every day could be a different adventure. And you go to the activity guy, and he says, today is the floor is lava. And you click on him, and then you can play the floor is lava as much as you want on that day.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about it being locked or inactive or whatever. And then the next day is the mask one, and then the shooting gallery. And every day it continues to rotate and add into that kind of schedule. And this gives players access for at least that activity for the day. And makes it a little bit less frustrating. That's probably not a perfect system, but gosh, that would make me want to do adventures more than I want to do them right now.
Yeah. They did say that they're addressing that. There was a guild chat a couple weeks ago that said they understand that you do get to an adventure and it's locked and you can't do it. So they're going to work on, they didn't say that they're going to be open all the time, but they said they're working on making them available more often, more of the time. So we'll see exactly how they implement that. But I was very happy to hear that they understand it, and you can see it, like especially when they talk so candidly on Guild Chat, like you could see it as players too. They're like, I go home and I play Guild Wars, play my personal account, and I go to do an adventure and it's closed. So they have the same issues that we have. So
yeah,
I was glad to hear that they understand that. So next month, Slothasor.
Slothasor.
Not Slothosaurus. Slothasor.
You mean Snorlax?
Snorlax.
Snorlax is like third evolution, basically.
Yeah, somebody called him Snorlax, and I can't, that's all I can think of now is that name. I can't. Someone said Slothosor, and I'm like, Snorlax just keeps coming to my mind now. It's permanently ingrained there.
Yeah. Snorlax.
I was,
An
I
interesting
really hope the mechanics
choice.
are amazing.
I can see it now. It's going to be like a whole ton of slow and sleep.
Oh God.
It's like fighting the slothosar is going to be like, you know, those dreams that you have where you're like, you know, when you
You're running and trying to
like
get
trying to
somewhere,
run,
but you can't.
it's
You're
like,
that would be
it's
the
gonna
worst
be-
battle ever. You just have slow and cripple on you the entire time.
I think like those are certainly things that you're going to experience. I just have this feeling that he's going to be a slow-moving boss, and I think you'll need to keep him moving. It's just a random guess, no real reason as to why. But him and his little snubblings.
Slubblings.
Oh, so do you mean like how if you let the ice bloke stop in the dredge fractal? You know, at the end, if you let the guy stop, he regenerates health, something like that.
Something, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be an interesting mix because the main boss will move very slowly, but his little snubblings or whatever they are. Slubblings, I think they're going to be very fast moving. They'll be like the opposite of him, right? So they'll be able to move fast, apply conditions. So condition removal will be important, as well as lay down poison fields and stuff. And they lay down poison fields that the boss slowly moves through, and it's just a pain for Melee to kind of deal with, right?
So are you thinking something along the lines of the grubs in Loopy?
A little. I mean, a little bit. That's what they're kind of like. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just thinking kind of like that, and then maybe like the oozes on Ooze Subject 6 in the Thorm Nova Fractal. So there are so many annoying things they could do with these little mobs around around the guy, but I am kind of looking forward to it because I think my only kind of experience in raids so far is just kind of non-sentient ads. So I've not beaten the Veil Guardian yet, much to my dismay. But like the Red Seekers, you can't kind of personify anguish and anger at them. But if you can, kind of just take it out on these little...
Oh, you can be angry at them, trust me.
Yeah.
God damn, those Seekers. Oh,
Yeah.
they're the worst.
Someone says, I hope the sloth has some kind of mind control or hypnosis ability.
Oh, jeez. Makes
Laser
you drunk and makes your
eyes.
makes your screen
Laser
all wavy.
eyes.
I'm sleepy.
This will never happen, but I want a little juvenile sloth for my ranger pet when you kill him.
Oh.
It'll never happen, but I so want that. It's a little a ranger pet
Ranger
sloth.
pet from the raid. Yes.
That'd
That would be
cool.
amazing.
I like
People
it.
would can you imagine though? People would rage so hard. I can't get sloth because I gotta kill Slothosaurus or Slothosor. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'd have to kill Snorlax and I can't get the pet. People would not be happy about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But
that
would
but
be cool.
I've got a funny feeling that he will hit unbelievably hard.
Oh, absolutely.
If you let him.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
In
it's going to
which
be one of
case-
these things where the tank is going to kind of have to drag him around the room, and
Yeah.
you're going to have to chase after him and deal with his little friends. And if he
Yeah.
stops or if he catches up to you, you're going to have a bad time.
You're gonna have a bad time.
I could see fighting him like in the trees, like he's hanging from the branches or something. Though he has that stance where he's just kind of standing there, like that. That was pretty much the preview we got, and his little beady red eyes.
Yeah.
But is it Crystal? Crystal Reed was talking about how this was actually something that she designed a long time ago. At least the mechanics and I think the monster itself too. And then she kind of like retrofitted it and updated it, per her,
Right.
experience, and kind of made it what it is. I'm just really, really interested to learn the mechanics. And plus, I wonder if is it going to be the first boss, the second, the last? Because our very first peek at Raid Wing one was Gorseval, and he was the second boss.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Actually,
I think she did say that he's the first boss in the new wing. How he ties into the new wing and everything should be really interesting because for those who haven't done the raid, there's a clear boss. Sabbath is the end boss, but the other two bosses aren't necessarily directly related to Sabbatha and her crew. Gorseval has his own little story as to why he exists, and that's not directly related to Sabbatha and her crew, sort of, but she doesn't own or control Gorseval. He's his own thing. And the Veil Guardian's the same way. The Veil Guardian is his own thing. The Veil Guardian is not like Sabbatha's minion, right? And I don't think the Slothasor, obviously, I don't think the Slothasor is tied to anyone as a specific owner. It's something that exists within that realm. It's just a creature that exists, right? Its own entity, so to speak.
Yeah. Here's the thing. What do we think about? I don't know if you guys discussed this last week. What do we think about the fact that they said that the second wing is going to be of a comparable difficulty to the first wing?
Good, but I was hoping, and I understand why ArenaNet maybe hasn't taken this approach. You can't keep one-upping yourself. It's very difficult to do. You're setting yourself up for failure eventually if you try to keep one-upping yourself. But I was hoping for a slight increase in mechanic difficulty rather than sort of a comparable thing. And until we really see everything laid out and all the mechanics, that's going to be probably for the players to really decide on whether it's comparable or not. I know that's what ArenaNet says, but you'll really need to see the mechanics in action and how you deal with them, or how easy they are to deal with, or how many there are to deal with and stuff before you can really... The players will make that decision ultimately, but I was kind of hoping ArenaNet would have said, like, the difficulty is going to be a notch higher.
They did say, Crystal did say that the mechanics are going to be much, much different. So I think that it's like you said, the difficulty is going to be in the players adapting to the new mechanics, which I think is perfect because that's the main thing. Besides having to have your ultimate build, and I think that added to the difficulty of the first raid wing was everybody jumping in there and realizing I have to get on point. I have to get my armor up to spec. I have to get my build up to spec. I need to know my rotation. Well, people know that now. People are going to go in with their maximum rotation, their maximum armor. They know their roles. People are very set in their ways now. People have their teams. They have their chrono, they have their druid, so on and so forth. So I think that the big challenge is going to be in the mechanics itself and learning those mechanics. And I hope they change it up enough so that it messes with that comp a little bit. Things that worked on Veil Guardian, don't work anymore for for Slothasor. Now you have to have, a class. Not necessarily you have to have a certain class, but you have to have a class that has this ability. Whereas Veil Guardian, you had to have a tank, DPS, Condi. You had to have those roles. It was required. So I hope that it kind of messes with that a little bit.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
That's where the challenge is going to come from. That's what the newness is going to come from. The newness won't be from everybody creating, maximizing their characters, but it'll come from learning those new mechanics.
Yeah. So do you think that are you expecting that you'll be able to kind of start off with Slothasar in exotic gear, and then, like you moved up through Gorseval and Sabbatha, end up pretty much ascended gear being very, very advisable, if not mandatory?
If they said it's going to be a comparable level of difficulty, I still think that it would be possible in exotic. The entire wing would be possible in exotic. But it's an age-old debate now. Is that you can do it in exotic, but it's going to be easier if everybody has ascended.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah. Do you think that we had a question from chat? Do you feel like the release of Raid Wings, the release cadence, has been too long? Do you think it's been too long since the Raid Wing has come out? I say no.
I'm going to say no. Because I know, like, Inks, you only beat Sabbath this week. I think, was it this week or last week?
Last week,
Woo! Last week.
And A-Team one-shotted it again this week. They went from, like, suck to pro in 1 week. It was amazing. Yeah. I'm so proud.
It's just one of those weird things that when you kill a boss, it just, everything now just clicks. It's like...
Yep.
Okay, first of all, the reason we weren't killing it before is this, and we still suffer from this problem, but it's a combination of actually getting everybody to show up to actually raid. If we can actually have everybody there, we do pretty damn good. But most of the time, it's like we're missing 2 people, we're missing this person, or the healer we depend on just isn't there, or whatever the case is. And then, so you end up pulling other people in, which is fine, but then you have to teach them to fight over, and that kind of pushes your progression, your personal progression back. Because while you may have mastered the mechanics, now this new person, who you can't fault for learning the mechanics, now has to catch up to whatever it is that you've learned. And some people are really good at instantly learning things, and for others it takes many attempts to really get it down. Especially with things like directional awareness, which is what SAB is really all about. It's really about knowing your directions without really having to think about which direction do I have to go. If someone says east, you just have to instantly know where east is, not I need to look at my map for a second, because you just don't really have time for that. And certainly there are tools down there where you can just say throw heart, and you don't have to think about it. You just see the heart, you throw the heart. So that certainly makes it a lot easier. But, you know, our big hang-up was problems with our own raid schedule and stuff. But, yeah, I mean, certainly there are groups out there who have been farming Sabbatha for months now. They've cleared it. I think the overall progression isn't too bad. I think it's fine. Now, I originally did expect that the new Raid Wing would have come at the end of this month. Like, this week is when I thought it was going to come. Obviously, that's not the case. We're going to be another couple of weeks out, 4 weeks out at most, probably, but probably less than that. So it's not too far off the mark, I don't think. The difference being, I think in other MMOs, when a raid releases, they usually get a couple of wings for, like, when the game releases. So they usually have, like, 3 wings or whatever to go through. One full raid that they can experience for several months, and then they usually wait 5 or 6 months, depends on the game, and then they get another raid with several wings. So, like, it's a little bit behind the average par, I think, of some other MMOs, but this is Guild Wars 2's first raid, and so I don't think it's too far off the mark. I don't think it's too bad. I do think that players will start to, if they're not already expecting more, and certainly some are, as time goes on, I think they'll expect, you know, these raid wings to happen a little bit faster, especially if the raid wing only has 3 bosses. If the raid wings start to have 4 to 6 bosses or something like that, then there's a little bit more of a grace period there, I think, with players. But with 3 bosses in each wing, I think they expect it to happen slightly faster. But I don't think they're painfully behind par.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. I think that the second raid wing, people who have got the first raid wing down, I think the second's going to go a lot faster. So maybe towards the end there's going to be that, like, okay, we've been farming this for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And I know there's people who have been doing that, you know, with the first raid wing, and they're tired of farming it. But that is comparably, I think, such a tiny percentage of the player base. There's so many people who still have never even attempted raids yet because they're just not prepared. Plus all the new players to the game. I mean, the game went free to play just last year, so you have a lot of new players. There's people in my chat all the time that don't even have a level 80 yet, so they haven't even experienced Raid Wing 1. So I think that the cadence right now for this release is very good. We're going to have to see between Wing 2 and 3 if we get to a point where, okay, a month has gone by and we've cleared the entire Raid Wing 2, and so now we're farming for 2 or 3 months, which I don't think is terrible, because Raid Wing 1, we just, in our guild, both A team and B team, are going to get these, maybe a month to farm, to get the raid on farm status, which is clearing it in a night, in a couple hours. And I think you need some time with that, because once you move on to the next wing, some won't even look back to Wing 1. And I know different groups have different ways that they're going to approach that, but there's going to get to a point where you're on Raid Wing 3 and you're never going to want to touch Raid Wing 1 again, because you don't have time for it unless every Raid Wing is on farm status one night.
I mean, I think people always do the for lack of a better word, farmable raid wings just for the magnetite shards. It's just that, you've got a bit of a less painful way of getting ascended armor and some pretty cool stuff from that vendor. So I think there will always be that degree of farming. So I don't think people are just going to go, let's not bother with Wing 1 tonight, especially if people can kind of flash through it in 45 minutes or however long it takes a group to do it. But I do see a point. There was one thing that Inks did say that I'm interested in kind of seeing what you think. What you were saying about how if people say, oh, there's only 3 raid wings with 3 bosses, but when you end up in a raid wing with 6 bosses or 4 bosses or extra number of bosses, for example,
Sure.
Do you not think that goes against the slightly more casual nature of Guild Wars 2, for lack of a better word? if you're having to say, right, instead of you've actually got to dedicate like 6 hours.
But raids aren't necessarily meant for those casual people, and not everything. And I know some people will balk at this, but not everything is meant to be cleared in a single night. It's meant for, and that's one of the complaints, actually, is that, oh, I'm done raiding on Monday or Tuesday or whenever your first day is. I'm done in an hour or 2, maybe even less if you're really efficient. I'm done in 40 minutes. I've done my raid content in 40 minutes, and sure, I can run the wing again. I can spend another 40 minutes if I want to max out on shards. But that's kind of the complaint. And that problem will get fixed as we get more wings, because you can run Wing 1 and Wing 2, and there'll be more variety as you go along. But having more than 3 bosses in a wing, I don't think is a negative thing. Even if you're the most efficient, and let's say there's 6 bosses, which would be like 2 wings in 1, so that would take you 2 hours to clear the raid rather than 1 for I think most groups. It would take my group longer than that, obviously, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. And if you have to split it into 2 nights, fine. Down the road, that might be an issue when you have 3 wings or 2 separate raids, so there's 6 wings or whatever, and then it's like, I can't finish all 6 wings in a week or whatever. But as you move on, you'll be less and less likely to go back to some of those older raid wings, even though, because the gear requirement doesn't change, those fights don't really become invalidated in difficulty. Absolutely. It's just that you've played it so much and you've mastered the technique so much that it becomes invalidated to you.
I think it certainly says something that even us, and we're kind of pretty positive about things, that people are already looking forward to the original raid content becoming standard, I guess. It's kind of interesting, and I think it kind of ties into a lot of what we've been talking about tonight, that people are hungry for new content, and I don't think that's a negative thing. It's like people are still excited about the game. People still love playing Guild Wars 2. I mean, we play it a lot. We dedicate a lot of our own time to talking about Guild Wars 2, making videos about Guild Wars 2, and hello, Guild Wars 2 official chat, by the way.
Yes. By the way, thank you so much for the chat. You guys were in on the conversation. I didn't want to interrupt, but yes, welcome everyone from the Guild Wars 2 channel. This is GuildGab. Every single Friday we talk Guild Wars 2, and currently on the subject of raids, obviously.
And I think when it boils down to it, all of kind of the salt or whatever the hell else you want to call it, it comes down to the fact that people do love this game, and they just want more of
it.
Of
Yeah,
what
they
they
Give
love.
me more.
Yeah.
Exactly.
More of what they love.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, because Reddit is a cesspit anus full of pus and hatred.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's go.
You went there.
Come on, Reddit. Show me what you got. It perhaps sometimes the constructive criticism in a moderated forum full of respectable individuals like Reddit, sometimes it comes across as slightly less constructive than it necessarily needs to be because people are venting their frustrations.
Sure.
And yeah.
Okay.
Was there a point to that? He
I
just
have
had to
no
get his
idea.
rage out.
Yeah,
Well,
I feel better.
good. I'm glad you feel better.
I do think that you can extend the longevity of each raid wing too by separating out an LFG tool just for raids.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Certainly, and this happens even with dungeons and fractals and whatever. But in the general LFG, you'll still see people, looking for fractals in the general LFG for some reason. But by separating it out, then if you want to do a raid, if you want to get involved in a raid, if let's say you missed Gorseval that week or whatever boss, slothasor, you can just I think by separating it out, it just makes it a little bit easier for players to find other players that are looking for like that specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know some players want to take that kind of a step further and set up like this auto grouping system. I don't really think that's needed. It's certainly not needed just yet. But I think by separating it out, giving it its own little LFG slot would go to helping players. Somebody like Alex, who doesn't have a ton of time and hasn't been able to really find a solid raid group to raid with consistently, it makes that experience or finding groups of players that much easier to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the
Single
LFG
out.
tool needs to be extended to some kind of in-game guild finding system, because I get the question all the time and we've talked about it on the show many times, about people who want to raid but don't know how to find other people to raid with, and I tell them just to go to Verdant Brink or Lion's Arch and say, is there a guild? Is anybody looking? Is there a raid guild? There are entire guilds with just people who want to raid. And they're willing to help new players. There needs to be some kind of in-game guild search, guild finding system where you can put out an ad and, this whole new interface that says we are looking, this is a raid guild. This is what our guild's all about. If you want to join, send a join request. It would make, I think a lot more people would be able to get in on this hardcore content if there was an easier way for them to find people to do it with. I've been very fortunate that I know that I'm in Maven and I know everybody from there, and we actually got organized, and there were experienced raiders from other games in there, so that they kind of they already knew how to get a group together and what was required of that. If I didn't have that, I still don't know that I would be.
You'd have set foot in
that
raids.
I would have even exactly that I would have even set foot in raids, because I thought it just wasn't content for me. But I wanted to, hey, let's give it a try. It's something new. I've never done a raid before, and now I can't get enough of it. It's my favorite night of the week when we get to raid, and so something like that really would be a big help.
Like right now, you really have to kind of go out of your way if you're not already involved in a very active guild. You really have to go out of your way to find and you can use things like the forums, and there's people in particular maps, Lion's Arch, Divinity's Reach, who do advertise that their guild is looking for particular people. But I think to really find those guilds that are really dedicated to a specific game mode, be it raiding, world versus world, structured PvP, etc., like finding those solid teams can be somewhat difficult and trying. And I think that when you do find those groups, when you do find a solid team, it makes that content, at least in my opinion, it makes that content that much better. Certainly more enjoyable because you have a consistent group, you're meeting with the same people, you can learn off of one another, you learn to trust the other player to do specific things in the raid. You know that the tank is going to tank, you know the healer is going to heal, you know the DPS is going to know how to do whatever it is they do, rather than, kind of always being worried, is this going to happen or not, So, yeah, definitely, finding that group can be kind of strenuous, kind of difficult.
Yeah. And it's sad that you have to, say, go outside the game to find something like that. But I think that's been an issue with Guild Wars 2 in a lot of areas since launch.
It's a problem with a lot of MMOs, really, in general. You have to really put a good deal of effort into finding a group. And your personality might not always clash with that group perfectly, and so the search continues to try and find that group of people that you're really comfortable with doing that content with.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk some more about raids in this whole discussion, and I love when the raiding topic comes up because it's just like endless discussion topics. But for the actual show, we'll talk about it more on the post-show. Well, we have about 10 minutes left in the actual show, and I want to mention the new glider and the new Crystal Savant outfit in the gem store that came out this week. It was my outfit and my glider. Well, my glider came out a couple weeks ago, but
yeah,
I loved the outfit. I first previewed it in all pink, and I was like, yes, it's a magical girl outfit. So there's my opinion.
The glider is awesome.
The glider is amazing.
The glider is really cool. There we go.
I heard a lot of people say insta-buy. There's people in chat saying insta-buy.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It's the first glider, and we've said this on the show. I said they're going to start coming out with gliders that are not wings or, a paper glider or something. And this is the one that's definitely gone the most out of the box. You can see it in the background here. It's the electricity for anybody who hasn't seen it. It's basically just, it's this pulsing wings of electricity, and it almost looks like what's coming off of the Exalted, like the wavy wing type things, but it's like electricity, and there's like, I don't know what you call it, the little like sound waves or electric waves around it. It's very animated.
It looks really cool. Really, really awesome. And how much is it? Is it 700?
400.
It's just a glider. It's not a back piece, so it's 400.
Oh, right, fantastic. That's a bargain if ever there was one. I think it's
well, so the base gliders, if you just get a glider, are generally 400. If you get a glider plus backpack, like the golden wings, the bat wings, etc., those are always 700, at least so far. So on par. The outfit's interesting. Both of them are definitely up there for me. I know not everybody is like this. I like big, shiny. I like my character to look like a giant light bulb, basically, running around. This glider definitely lends it to that. So I'll probably end up picking it up. I've bought a lot of gliders recently, though, so
yeah.
I don't know. The outfit's interesting. I kind of... outfits are in a weird place for me. I do like outfits for what they are. This particular outfit, I don't mind. The shoulders are a little bit floaty, but I love the crystals. I love that you can dye the crystals different colors. It's
That's
a huge
really
plus
cool
for me. But outfits kind of put me in a weird place. I'll buy an outfit, I'll wear it for a short period of time, and then I almost never wear the outfit again unless I'm leveling a new character, which... they don't last long anyway, so it doesn't matter. But like outfits are good for that. Outfits are good for my key runner, or if I have a character that I have for a short period of time. When my armor looks kind of crappy, outfits are this good alternative to save transmutation charges. But I find I don't end up wearing them too long or over permanently. because you tend to see too many of the same outfits. They're not overly customizable because of what they are. So outfits are kind of a mixed bag for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of in the same boat. I mean, I can certainly see the appeal of this current one, and like you said, now that you can start to dye the little kind of nuances like the crystals and that kind of thing, that's what people have been are really kind of keen about, and people have been wanting to. What was it that they wanted to like that they've wanted to dye like the chaos weapons because of the stuff that comes out. And, yeah. People all want to kind of dye those kind of things as well. It's again with everything with pretty much everything that's come out recently in the gem store. Looks great, lots of nice detail on it. It's just not one for me, unfortunately. The weird thing is, I spend the most amount of time in the Jungle Explorer's outfit on my Ranger. Honestly, I just love that kind of. It's almost like minimalistic that you've got like the jacket and then the pack and that kind of thing, and then there's like the Crystal Arbiter one as well, and the Halloween one where you have like the big fiery thing in the middle.
Yeah,
I thought that is so cool. That is so cool. So I'm kind of either want to look like I live in the forest or as intimidating as possible. And unfortunately, this one doesn't quite do it for me. But
did you like the druid outfit with the antlers and stuff? No,
it was all right. I don't think I bought it, but it was all right. Yeah, it was just kind of like but I'd kind of wear
what
it.
My druid is wearing.
Yeah.
I'm like the druid outfit. Not the horns, not the headpiece, but
I mean to be fair, my druid just kind of swans around in like Sylvari stuff anyway, so
I think the only outfit that I permanently wear I wear the ninja outfit on my thief, is one that has permanently stayed. Yeah. And that's mostly because I don't like too many of the medium armors, especially for thief. On Asura anyway. On other races that's different. Humans and Sylvari have it pretty good, but so yeah, that's really the only outfit that like I use 100% of the time is the ninja outfit.
Yeah. I think it would be a really cool statistic to see the rate of sale of gliders, outfits, that kind of cosmetic, fancy, account-bound things per account, and how many characters are on that account. Because I can't imagine someone who exclusively plays one character, maybe two, like they have to choose. They have to
the dream. Gosh, don't I wish that I could just play like one or two characters. God, don't I wish. There's so many factors working against me in Guild Wars 2 for that.
It's all those outfits, all those gliders. I know.
The truth is, I like a lot of the classes. Almost all of them I enjoy playing on some level. Even if I'm not very good at them, I still kind of enjoy basically every class. And then on top of that, I really am kind of just an achievement junkie. So, especially in Heart of Thorns, not only are there personal story for each race and stuff, but for PvP, for structured PvP, and for now these specializations collections, like you have to have one of each class in order to complete the map, to complete that collection, and blah 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 blah. So part of me always says, you can really just have 2 or 3 characters, and then there's some achievement where it's like you need to play a Mesmer, and it's like, but I deleted my Mesmer 3 times now or whatever.
Oh, how? Why? Well, we've been over this before. You're wrong. Yeah. And it's just something that you have to live with.
Yeah. But, someone like me who has 20 characters, if I buy another outfit, if I like the outfit, if I think it'll look good on any of my characters, and I have every race, mostly female, I have a couple male mixed in there, if I think it'll look good on any of my characters, if I like it, I'll buy it because I can put it on one character. You know, if I had only one character that I mained, I think I would be a lot more selective. I'm like, do I really want this? Does it look like, will it look good? Will I actually wear it on this character? And then you have, you'll have 10 outfits that you never even use. And, but like me, like I feel comfortable. Like, I don't think I have too many gliders or too many outfits because then I have options. And no matter what character I'm on,
absolutely.
You have options. So I think that would be a neat statistic to see.
And it's kind of interesting that, I mean, this is kind of a bit anecdotal, but ArenaNet have realized that their target audience loves shiny stuff. We're like, there's 3 million accounts in Guild Wars 2 at the moment, and they're all owned by Scrit. It's true, because it's weird because every time something new comes onto the gem store, we're all just like, oh my god, it's so beautiful and shiny. What's happening?
And they're getting better at making them prettier and shinier and more appealing.
Totally off topic, but one of my favorite finishers is the Scrit finisher PvP, and because of seasons, I've been seeing it a lot more. So every time I kill somebody, I just see the Scrit like rummage through their pockets and throwing all the things out and everything. I just love it. All the shinies.
All the shinies.
Yeah.
The shine on the legendary armor better be amazing.
Yeah. Like, I hope to be able to play the game. You have to disable particle effects if someone's wearing legendary armor.
That came up in our raid this week because we had originally said no, well, not necessarily no legendary weapons, but no Twilight, no Eternity, no Sunrise, because it made some of the telegraphs very difficult to see in the raids. Don't shake your head at me, okay?
I'm shaking my head.
It made them harder to see. So once we had completed and we basically had the raid on farm status, Bog Otter put his Twilight back on, and I was having a terrible time seeing the ports on the ground in the Veil Guardian. So I said, not saying it's your fault. I'm just saying that there's a lot of people who have been ported a lot during these attempts, and we haven't gotten them down yet. And you got your Twilight back on. So he turned it off. He put Dusk back on. And we beat it the next round. And nobody got teleports. So I'm like, I'm not saying. But we actually said, because he was saying, I still don't have my Twilight on because of you. # blame Peachy. And we said, wouldn't that be cool if there was a checkbox to turn some of those crazy extra effects off for things such as raids? I think that would be cool.
You must all look. You mustn't all look at my giant light bulb running around the room.
Particle effects.
Yes.
No, yeah, I don't agree with being able to turn off other people's particle effects, but the argument stands. I mean,
there is definitely some of that because there's a big sort of discussion where semi-recently ArenaNet changed like the fireball effect and the auras on elementalists. And I would say there's a fair number of people not overly happy with those changes. So being able to sort of turn that kind of stuff on and off, if you want the minimalistic effect, turn it off. If you want to see giant flaming fireballs and giant aura effects, then you could turn that on. And I don't know how well you could like wrap legendary effects or stuff like that into something like that. But if that would be possible, then that would kind of be like the best of both worlds, right?
Mm.
Right.
Of course, some people might complain they want separation, but then you run into this problem of checkbox bloat, right? You don't want to have like just open your screen, checkboxes everywhere to check off everything that you want to see or not see. I don't know.
Options are always good. It's always
particle slider. Yeah, I mean a particle slider
would
be good. I think for most. I would have it maxed always, but I understand some people don't want to look at all that stuff all the time. It's fair.
Right. Oh yeah, I would have it maxed out. I don't have any problem with it in anything, but when in raids where you have to be so precise, you have to see those telegraphs, you have to see the ports, or you're going to get ported across the arena. In just those special cases, I would like the option to turn it down, because I didn't like telling him to turn off his legendary weapon. I didn't like when I had to turn off my legendary weapon. Now I have the ascended skin from the Veil Guardian, so I'm okay with that. That's the great sword that I walk around with now. But
you know what you could do?
What could I do?
You could just learn to play.
Oh! Says the guy who hasn't beat Veil Guardian.
Oh!
Wow. It's
I love
kind of like on the legendary topic, but one of our raid members, Amalia, was playing Thief last night, a class she doesn't normally play in raids, and I almost never play with the sound on. It's just a habit of mine when I'm in some sort of Discord or TeamSpeak. I like turn all sound off so I can hear other people talk. So I just get into the habit of it. Very rarely do I ever have the sound on in Guild Wars 2. And I know in raids the bosses have all kinds of cues and stuff for audio wise, and I just never hear any of that stuff. I had the sound on a slight bit the other night, and I kept hearing like this horse sound, like everywhere we were going in the raid. Horse, 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 horse. I can't make the sound. And I'm like, which one of yous has the freaking short bow? And here comes Amalia standing next to me going, horse, horse, horse. And she just like shoots me 3 times. And it's like, that damn horse sound. This is why I don't play with sound.
That would get really annoying, I gotta say.
Which is the exact reason I made Quip as a legendary, so I could run around going ping, 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 annoying people. Do justice, right? That karma coming back to bite you. But we were playing for like an hour, and I'm like, it finally dawned on me that it was the short bow making that noise, the horse noise.
It took you an hour to figure that.
Yeah, like because it was.
If you never play with sound on,
right? I had the volume so low
would make
that I wasn't really hearing too many of the other sound effects in the game. It's just every once in a while, this horse sound would just appear in my ear, and I'm like, what the hell is making that sound? Yeah. Oh my gosh, too funny.
Oh my gosh. All right, well, that is where we're going to end the live show, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 30 seconds with the post show. Lots more Guild Wars 2 discussion, so stay right where you're at. Thank you all so much for watching the show. If you're watching on Twitch, please check out the links in the chat to our YouTube channels. Follow us there, follow us on Twitch. If you are watching on YouTube, those links are down in the description, as well as check out foostival.co.uk if you are interested in going to that. It's going to be really good, and I'm so excited for you guys. Yes! Alex is going to be there! Woo!
Alex and Corvus.
Corvus.
Right.
Corvus will happen. All right, guys, stay tuned for the post show. We will be right back. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.
See ya.